So, you want to be a contractor. Ever wonder what it takes to become a contractor? The journey they go on to get where they are now, or the crazy things they see and hear on the job site? Well, you're in the right spot. Welcome to So You Want to Be a Contractor, the podcast. Join your host, Mike Fisher, as he talks to owners of construction companies from all over about how they got started, how they run their business, and some of the craziest stories they've experienced on their job sites. And now, your host, Mike Fisher.
Welcome to So You Want to Be a Contractor. My name is Mike. With me today, I've got Tim Perryman of Perryman Painting and Remodeling. Is that right?
Yep, that's my name. That's the company name.
Perfect. I should have cleared that with you first, and I apologize, but glad I got it all up there. Perfect. Thanks for joining me today, Tim. How you guys doing? How's everything going?
We're doing great. Weather's really nice today. I'm going to be going golfing here in about 3 hours with a couple friends of mine. So about 65 and sunny. Not bad for this time of year.
Yeah, golfing without me though. That's a negative.
Well, you could probably be here on time if you jump on the plane right now.
Right? Yeah. 1:30 though. You guys gonna be able to finish?
We'll play as long as we can. It gets dark around 5 o'clock here, so give about 3 hours. We may be able to get 10.
What's your handicap?
Not very good. I'm like an 18 bogey golfer.
Oh, good. We could play together. Yeah, that's. I'm right there. We could definitely play together. That's good. I don't like playing with guys that are scratch golfers and make me feel bad.
Yeah, two of my good friends I golf with, they're both close to scratch, so it lifts my game up. You know what I mean? So
there you go.
I don't play enough golf, and I'm not passionate enough about it to be that good. So
I'm an addict, so I definitely play a lot, but I just am not good enough.
Tough game,
but I'll get there someday, hopefully. Let's get into this a little bit. Let me hear your story. I want to know how you got into this, how you got to where you are, and any of the fun stuff in between.
So we've been in business for since 1992 is when I got my contractor's license. So we're just sniffing 30 years now. My wife's my partner. I started off as a painter and did my time, got my contractor's license. Scaled up and down with the economy. We grew and then we shrunk and we grew and we shrunk. I think this is our third time pushing growth. So we are currently doing primarily, home improvements. That's probably 95% of our work. We have two divisions in our company, getting ready to add a third in the first quarter of next year. But we do, house painting, inside, outside, and cabinets. That's about half of our business. We do kitchen and bath remodeling. It's the other half of our business, and we're getting ready to start a concrete coatings division next year. So our revenue for this year, we're on target to be about $4.5 million. We've got about 40 employees, and our painting side is primarily employee model. Our remodeling side is primarily subcontractor model. We've got 2 people on our marketing team. We have one inside salesperson that handles answering phones, scheduling our sales guys' appointments, pretty much assisting them with all the stuff they need. We have 2.5 outside sales reps. Call it 3. One's part-time though. We have 2 people on our project management team on the remodeling side. We have one inside operations that primarily handles the customer from the time the job gets sold to the time it starts. And then we have an outside operations manager that handles the job after it starts through completion. We have 2 on the painting side, 2 on the remodeling side. So we have 4 people on our project management team. We have peaked out at around 22, 23 painters this year.
Wow.
And we have one person that does all of our accounting, reporting, and all that stuff.
So it sounds like you have the infrastructure to grow quite a bit, right? I mean, I feel like that's kind of the handicap with a lot of contractors around that $2, $3, $4 million range is that's kind of where they can get on their own and maybe a few office people, but it sounds like you have the infrastructure to get to, I mean, something pretty substantial, right? 10, 12 million. Is that something you're interested in, or where
Yeah.
you
I
plan
mean,
on going?
next year's goal is 50% growth on our two existing divisions, and I think the goal is to do about 650 in the concrete coatings. Going to put us at about 5.7 million.
Yeah.
I'd say the biggest limiting factor is not just the infrastructure, but the development of the leaders in our company. It's tough to scale a company if you don't have the right people in the right seats, and
Right.
they're growing with the company. That's what I found recently to be the biggest limiting factor. So I really put a lot of emphasis this year on developing my leadership team. And that's pretty much
Is that
my
something
direct report.
is that something you're doing on your own just based on experience, or are you bringing in a third party that has some skill there to kind of help you with that development?
I'm a big fan of mentors, coaches, consultants. Every
Yeah.
year, probably this year we won't do that, but every year I've figured out what it is I need to learn and improve on the most. And then I would seek out an expert in that field that was a coach to try and learn as much as I can to develop my skill in that. So, first starting with sales systems and all that stuff, and I had a marketing coach, had a guy that helped me with finance. My current coach is a business coach. What I was looking for this year in a coach was a firm that I wanted to become an expert coach this year. So I wanted someone that was going to teach me how to be a really good coach, and then also offer coaching, one-on-one coaching to my direct reports, my sales management team, my sales reps, finance guy are my direct reports. So I was hoping to get an outfit that could provide one-on-one coaching for them as well, and one that had physical assets we can use, systems, processes that for everything that we do that we could review and help us update the stuff that we're doing. So I ended up hiring a company called Nolan Consulting, this group that started with them in, I think, March of this year. And they've been a really big help. It's been a really good fit for us. We kind
I
of
love that
operate our
mentality,
company.
right?
What's that?
I was just gonna say, I love that mentality, right? Because that takes a little bit of putting your pride in your pocket and understanding maybe not where your weaknesses are, but where your opportunities to kind of grow are. First of all, and then and there are while there are plenty of contractors and business people that have that mentality, I think you kind of take it one step further where you're kind of rotating them through, right? It's, hey, this year I'm going to focus on this, and then once you kind of get a good grasp on that, it sounds like the next year you're like, hey, I'm gonna switch this up a little bit and gonna grow in a different area, which I think is an awesome mentality to take into business.
Yeah, we tend to make business more complicated than it really is. I mean,
Right.
It's really only 3 boxes. I think in our industry, there's 4 boxes, but sales, production, and finance. Finance would be accounting, and a big key to accounting is reporting. Good reporting. You got to have really good data tracking.
Right.
But you need to be really good at the data. I would argue that's probably the foundation that you need to start on, because you need to know where you're at to find out where you need to go. But then there's marketing, right? You got to be able to generate leads, turn those leads into appointments, and turn those appointments into sales. And then production. That's where production's where all the human resources are at if you're an employee model. So even if you're a sub model, that's where all the humans operate. So you need to have people that are really good with managing people and building relationships and coaching and developing your employees and all that stuff. So a lot of people just tend to make business a lot more complicated than that, right? But if you just you compartmentalize in that and focus on those boxes, find out which one you're weak at, get strong in it, then move to the next one and just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat.
Right.
So, until you have a really well-functioning machine. But people in our trades are really prideful people, and we like to think that we know everything, right?
Yeah.
You start off at, I'm like most of the people that started in the trades. I was really good at what I did. I was one of the best painters, always was the lead guy. So I started my own company. But once you start your company, your technical skills, I'm not going to say they become irrelevant, but that's what got you there. You now need to learn a whole new set of skills to run a company.
Right. Right.
And we all think we can do it all by ourselves, or we're going to do it different than everybody else. But I'm telling you, all that stuff's been built. People have already done it. I spent 25 years trying to figure it out myself until I finally started reaching out and getting help and learning from other people.
Oh, so this coaching, I mean, the mentors and the coaching stuff is a kind of a new thing for you then, right?
Well, not really. I mean, I've always done that. Things are just a lot different now than they were 30 years ago. You want to learn something 30 years ago, you had to reach out to people that you knew, you're in a circle, find out someone that might be able to help you. I mean, there just wasn't a lot of coaches and consultants out there. There was no internet. Right. We couldn't jump on Google or YouTube and learn stuff. Now if you want to find a sales coach, you can, in 15 minutes, get 30 of them to interview.
Right.
Where, I mean, it's learning is so easy now compared to what it was back then.
Well, it moves a lot faster. Yeah.
And there's a lot of bad advice out there. I've had coaches and consultants, but they just weren't very good. And I don't think I was really clear on what it is that I need to learn. And I was hard-headed, thinking that I didn't really need their help that much,
Yeah.
I've always
when you're paying somebody, they'll tell you anything you want to hear, right?
Yeah. What I always try and get across to my team is you first have to be aware of what it is you need to learn. It's awareness. It starts with awareness.
Right.
And if you're not aware that you need to learn something, then you're stuck at the first step. So you need to define what it is you need to learn. And then you need to find the best place to go learn it. Right. And you need to pick the right place. If you pick the wrong place, then you're going to be getting bad information. So spend the time to find the right place, whether that's reading a book or getting a coach or consultant or a mentor. You need to find out where it is you need to learn it. Step 2. Step 3, you need to learn it. And step 4 is where most people fail, and that's implementation. You have to implement what you've learned. And again, you just continually rinse and repeat that process until you're developing yourself, right?
Yeah. So if you don't mind, I want to kind of go back to the impetus or that precipice when you kind of, were that lead guy and that painter with all the experience, and you thought, I'm going to do it on my own. What kind of, was there something maybe going on in life, or just something that helped push you to starting your own company, or was it simply just, hey, I think I can build this mousetrap a little bit differently and a little bit more efficiently?
I'd argue a lot of that entrepreneurship is something that either you're taught at a really young age, maybe born with some of it. I don't know for sure. But I mean, I've had that entrepreneurial spirit since I was a kid. I mean, I was the kid when I was 7, 8 years old, pushing a lawnmower around the block, trying to sell cutting people's grass. I had 2 paper routes when I was 10, 11, 12. And paper routes were a lot different back then. Back then,
I was going to say you're dating yourself right now with paper routes.
Yeah, but it was like a little business back then. I mean, you had to find customers, you had to serve customers, you had to go collect your money.
Yeah.
And then you had to pay your vendors. So it was like a little business back then. It's a lot different now.
Yeah.
You know your paper guy isn't anymore. Then I got a job at Burger King when I was 14, as soon as I was legally able to get a regular job, and quickly moved into management. And then my roommate at the time, one of my best friends, he had started painting about a year before that, and he was making more money than I was, managing a restaurant. So I said, dude, you got to get me a job. Get me a job. I can grow my hair long. I work outside, and learn a trade, and in 4 years I get my contractor's license and start my own company. So I kind of fell into painting. But that was my goal, and I had my license within 4 years, and started hiring people, and I put down the brush probably after 5, 6 years. I didn't paint anymore. I just became the manager and sales guy, and struggled for a lot of years until I started to get help and figure it out.
Yeah. Was there any kind of family history in the trades at all, or are you kind of
Nope,
the first to go
not a
there,
bit.
huh?
Not a bit.
Well, what's your wife's role in the company?
She's currently in charge of marketing. So
Okay.
I've worked really hard to replace myself in the company over the years. Got out of painting, got out of leading jobs, got out of project management, got out of doing sales, to where I'm moving towards general manager. I'm going to hire a sales manager in the first quarter of next year. So anyone's interested, coming to be our sales manager, run our sales and marketing for us, contact me. So the Christie's pretty much her main thing is marketing. She got out of accounting. We handed it up to somebody else. She doesn't answer the phones anymore. So her main role in the company is lead generation, branding and all that stuff. And our daughter works for the company too. She does all of our social media marketing and does some accounts payable for us. But we're hoping to hire
The
a
social
sales
media
manager.
thing is,
We're hoping to hire a sales manager that's going to take owning lead generation off of her plate, where she can just do content creation and stuff like that. Eventually replace herself in that role as well.
so the social media thing is interesting to me. I think it's new to this trade, or I guess newly discovered to the trades, and I think it's fun to see the different dynamics and how different contractors are utilizing it. What maybe speak to that a little bit. How did you guys get to that point where you realized that was something you wanted to do, and then obviously, how it evolved with your daughter kind of managing that for you?
To be honest with you, we suck at social media marketing. That's not a really big
You're not
lead
alone
source.
there. Yeah.
Not a very big lead source for us. It's something that, cost per lead's really low. You can send that out to a bunch of different social media platforms. So we're improving on it. One of our goals this year was to try and increase our lead generation percentage of overall leads. Primarily, you always want to start with your repeat customers. That's by far the best list to farm. You need to be touching them regularly. Referrals is our number two. So whatever you can do to generate referrals, you need to work on that. Google is probably our number 3 lead source. That's actually our number 1 lead source, but as far as performance, it's number 3 as far as close rates, conversions, and return on investment. And then social media was number 4. So we really wanted to get good at that. So we're getting better now that my daughter took that over. The metrics are improving.
I love that you guys
we
are tracking
need to
all
start
the
doing
different
video.
sources
We need to
too.
get into YouTube, doing video, and that's where it's going to go next. We need to really focus on that. We were just talking about buying some really good equipment and ramping up the video.
So, I mean, before I get into a thought process I have on side of kind of the social media side, maybe clarify for me, where's your breakdown in residential work versus commercial work? Are you guys doing any commercial work at all?
Minimal. No new commercial. It's going to be repaints. It's our business to business is less than 5% of our total revenue.
Yeah. So that thought process of, social media as a lead generation, that is definitely a little bit more, or I guess you need to be a little bit more efficient there from a lead generation standpoint, right? I know that there are a lot of contractors that maybe use social media, not so much, or I guess their thought process is it's not necessarily a lead generation tool, right? It's more of a digital resume and a background check kind of verification thing, right? Because with especially your buyers, right? Your homeowners and even on the commercial side, project management or property management rather, or some of those kind of people that are hiring contractors on the commercial side, they're of that generation and of that age now, or they're kind of leading towards that, where if you're Tim Perryman and Perryman Painting and they see your name or are interested in doing work with you, the first thing they're going to do is go online, right? That's 99% or no, maybe not 99, but a high percentage of them are just going to go online first. And if you don't have a website that showcases what you guys do, and maybe you're not on social media, there's that thought process of why, like what's wrong with them? Why can't they be online? What are they doing that they can't be online? So it's more of a validation to what you guys do, right? In a digital resume, I guess, if you will. So if you use social media as that thought process, then maybe you're not really looking for the lead generation. But again, I know that in the residential space, that's kind of it kind of flips a little bit, right? You're trying to use social media as a lead generation, which I completely understand. Are there any thoughts on what you guys, obviously you said you want to get into video and some other things. Are there some things that you are looking forward to doing that you think might kind of flip that for you a little bit and help you out on that side?
Well, let me just kind of big picture when it comes to marketing, right? There's branding, your company brand, and there's lead generation, right? If you want to grow and scale a company, you have to master lead generation. That's what's going to drive appointments. That's what's going to drive sales.
Yep.
So, and I would argue, and my wife and I have this conversation regularly. She's all about branding and company and all that stuff. And I'm like, hey, we can't measure that, right? So if we're going to do some sort of a marketing campaign, I want to have something that we can measure to find out whether or not that was successful. And
Right.
the only thing you can measure is how many leads you get, right? So I would argue that all of your marketing resources and energy you put into marketing need to be measured. And the best way to measure it is the number of leads that it generates. So you can find out how well it's working, tweak it, change it, or remove it, put your money someplace else and energy someplace else. So, branding and telling your company story, building trust, your process, how you do everything, that really is combined into your message, right? You ever read any Dan Kennedy? Dude, the marketing guru, great stuff. It's a great book called Magnetic Marketing if you really want to master lead generation.
Yep.
And just really the mindset behind marketing, right? It all starts with awareness, right? Most people just like, oh, we're just doing social media. We're really not even tracking how many leads it gets us. You need to track it if you want to improve it. So just doing it is fine and dandy, but how many phone calls do you get? How many people reach out to you and ask you to set an appointment? That's what matters the most. But you need to define who it is your message needs to go to. Who is my market? What does my ideal customer look like? Where do they live? How expensive is their home? What do they do for work? How many kids do they have? Where do they hang out? Right? You really got to get into your ideal customer's minds. It's a psychographics, right? Who is my ideal customer? You need to be really good at defining that. Then you need to decide what's their pain? What are their frustrations? What keeps them up at night? And then define a message around that, right? Part of your messaging is going to be, obviously building trust is super important. Your process is super important. What makes you different than your competition? What's your differentiator? Super important. And all that goes into your messaging. So you define who it is your customer is, your market. What messaging do I need to send out? And then you decide what media I'm going to use, whether it's social media, direct mail, canvassing with flyers, email marketing, putting up banners or billboards. I mean, radio, TV, there's all kinds of different stuff.
Right. Right.
But that's really a process that you go through with marketing, right? Is always trying to better identify who your ideal customer is. Go through all your customer lists and go, hey, which customers did I make the most money on? That caused me the less grief, right? Where do they live? What do they do for a living? How many kids do they have? Where do they hang out? Right? You go through your old customer list and try and pull out 10 or 12 of them and really drill down and ask us, even call them and interview them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But really define who it is that you really love to work for. Find out what bothers them. What problems do they have that you can solve for them? Right? And that's really what the messaging should be. And to me, that's branding, right?
Right.
That's built into a marketing piece, but the marketing piece, and when you send it out and spend money on it, you want to know whether it's working or not. And the way to measure it is how many leads you generate and how many of those convert to appointments. We used to get a lot of leads and never really looked at even tracked how many of those leads turned into appointments. We used to call them once, They don't call us back, we stopped. Now we have an 8-step process to follow up on a lead to try to convert it to an appointment. And we convert almost 90% of all of our leads now. When we first started tracking that, we were only converting like 60%.
Yeah, it's that multiple touch kind of thought process, right? You gotta touch somebody, a number of times before they're kind of turned into a lead or a prospect.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really. You talk to a lot of tech companies. Their lead generation is really just trying to create interest and get a name and an email address,
buzz,
or a phone number. And then they have to create demand, or a want or need for that service or product. In ours, a lead is someone that calls us and says, "Hey, I want to set an appointment. I'm interested in getting my house painted or my kitchen remodeled or something." So it's a little bit different than you talk to other industries about lead generation, they're going to see it a little bit differently. But really, for us, a lead is someone that has expressed interest in us coming out to visit their property.
And I love what you're doing with the data too, right? I mean, that's so in depth, and I mean, and it's this generation and this day of age too, right? Everything is data driven, and it sounds like you've really kind of brought that on and kind of accepted that and are really kind of using that to your advantage in all aspects of your business, which I think is awesome and different in this industry for sure.
If you're not good at data tracking, knowing what data you need to look at, where to get it from, get it onto a spreadsheet so you know where you're at, you're going to really struggle. I mean, unless you're just in your business is just killing it. I know some people that don't do any of that stuff and they're just killing it because they have a unique product or solution, or they have a great sales team, or just natural getting lucky. But if you want to scale a business, man, you have to become an expert at tracking data. You got to know your financials. You got to know your marketing results, by lead source. You have to know your sales results. You have to know your gross profit margins of production, your revenue per hour. I mean, we have tracked all kinds of data points for each box.
All of it. That's awesome. I love that.
We've gotten really good at that. And now we're actually, instead of looking at what happened, we're actually looking at what's going to happen. And are there any roadblocks or obstacles or barriers to help us achieve our goals? So we're able to look 4 to 6 weeks out and go, hey, we're light on remodel sales, marketing and sales. What are you doing to produce more sales for the remodeling team so they can fill their pipeline? Right. Super important.
You can only do that if you have your finger on all that data and you're keeping an eye on it and tracking it.
Yeah. You ever read any Gino Wickman?
No, I've heard his name, but I haven't found anything to read.
He wrote a book called Traction. One of my coaches years ago recommended I read it. And I would say that was probably, out of all the books I've read, and I've read a lot of them on business, that's probably been the most impactful book I've ever read. After reading that, I'm like, oh my God, this is the information I've been looking for my whole career. Right?
Yeah.
But one of the things they run, they teach a business model. If you ever read E-Myth, Michael Gerber?
No.
Similar type of thing. But they have a business model, how to run your business up and down. But one of the things they do, there's I think 8 main things that you have to track for your business. And data is one of them, one component. And they teach weekly scorecards. So we track how many leads we get every week, how many appointments we get every week, how many sales we get every week, how much revenue we're producing in production every week, and how much we bill out for every week. And so we have a weekly scorecard, and we have a weekly meeting, and we look at the numbers, what happened, what's happening right now, and what's going to happen, and talk about what we have to do to fix it. So great book, though, man. Traction. He wrote a second book called it's a fable about a company that was struggling. They hired someone to help them come and implement EOS into their company, and it was a 2-year journey. on making the company from struggling to being really good. And I can't remember the name. Oh, Get a Grip was the name of it. So
Okay, cool.
good stuff though.
I'll have to check them out for sure. Yeah, that's fun. So kind of going back a little bit to that third arm, I've always been a proponent and a big fan of multiple revenue streams, or not sticking all your eggs in one basket, or whatever mantra you want to use there. But you guys have obviously diversified a little bit. It sounds like you're stepping out a little bit more too. What was there? Did you what kind of led you to that concrete coatings, right? I mean, going from painting to remodeling, yeah, it makes sense, right? I mean, you walk into somebody's house who's painting and you see that they're doing some other stuff, and it kind of makes sense to kind of do that as well. But I feel like concrete coatings is a little bit outside both of those. Is there something specific that kind of led you in that direction, or got you down that path?
Well, one, it's really not outside what we do. We do concrete coatings now, but this is a unique product, a unique process. So there's not a lot of competition in that space.
Yeah. Is it like epoxy stuff, like garage floor epoxy stuff?
It's not epoxy. I can't remember what
decorative.
I can't remember what it is. Again, we're learning about the business right now. It's similar to epoxy though. It's a 2-part component. It's got the multi-fleck color on the top of it. You can use it for garage floors and outside concrete and all that. We're going to be own this territory and be a dealer for this product, and then install it. So.
And is that just based on a relationship that you had, that you were able to get in with these guys and kind of?
I met some other contractors that are dealers for the company, and they were all raving about it. Found out about it in May, and then started doing my research and connected with the company, and getting ready to sign our dealer agreement with them. So, but everyone's a painter. We have 1,000 competitors for house painting. So it's really difficult to differentiate yourself and make you unique. Everybody's a kitchen and bathroom modeler. This is a unique product line and service where we just don't have a lot of competition for it. So I really like that about it. The revenue per hour, how much you bill a job for versus how many hours, hours are put into it, is really high. The gross profit margins are really good. The process is really simple. There's not a lot of variables in doing this type of work. And so that's what got me excited about it. We're able to scale our company by adding a service line that we're experts in, but it fits really good with what we're doing right now.
Right. From an employee standpoint, are you going to be able to cross-train some of the guys you have now, or is it a situation where you have to bring on, employee specific for this?
No, so we're gonna go to training in January, and I'm gonna go. My outside operations manager for my painting division is gonna go, and we're gonna bring one of our job leaders with us. So we're gonna learn how to do it, the three of us, and that job leader is gonna be dedicated for this product line until we scale up to have the second crew. So,
right.
The goal is to, by Q1 of 2023, starting the second crew up. So there's a substantial investment in equipment to get this thing going.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's awesome. Kind of on employees and hiring in that aspect. Where do you find? I mean, 20-something painters. That's a pretty big investment in training and hiring. Where are you finding you're having the most success? Finding qualified guys for that field position.
First I gotta hand you a compliment. You asked the right questions. You kind of follow down the pipeline of all the stuff that matters the most.
I try. This is probably about the 160th time I've done this. Yeah. Only the 5th or 6th on this show, but specifically. But it's and I mean, I literally talk to contractors all day, every day in my quote unquote day job. So I appreciate it, but I like to think I know what I'm talking about sometimes, or what's important.
So recruiting, super important. And again, I'm gonna start off with big picture, the mindset about recruiting, right? I talk to contractors all the time. What's your biggest pain? What's the biggest problem? What do you need to solve the most? I just can't find anybody that knows what they're doing, that'll show up, that, that I could put on a job and they can, serve our customers with excellence. Everyone says the same thing, right? I'll say, interesting. It's your biggest pain. Let me ask you something. How much time did you spend last week on recruiting?
How much effort did you give it?
And they look at me like, well, I put an ad on Craigslist a month ago. How much money did you spend last month on your recruiting program? How much resources did you invest in? If that's your biggest pain point, what are you doing to fix it? And they look at me like, I don't want to talk to you.
You're applying too much logic to this.
Well, no, and then it's funny because I'll give them advice on what I would do if I was them, and then you talk to them 6 months later. How's that going for you? And they're still in the same boat.
Right.
Still complaining about the same thing. Again, implementation.
Well,
implementation. People can learn all the information, but if they don't implement those solutions into their company, they're never going to move forward. They're never going to be able to scale.
Yeah. When I could have guessed you would have applied some sort of data.
That's kind of big picture mindset when it comes to recruiting. We look at recruiting like we do marketing for a new customer, right? We have to, A, have a budget. B, we have to identify who our target client is. Who's our target prospect? What's their pain? What's their wants? What's their desires? Where do they live? Where do they hang out? How many kids do they have? How much money do they need to make? We need to identify who our target prospect is. Then we put together a message that's going to attract them. Then we decide where we're going to place that message, what lead source we're going to put that message into. Then we have to collect leads. We have to convert those leads into phone appointments. Then we have to convert those phone appointments into face-to-face appointments. And then we have to sell that prospect and close the deal and hire a painter.
I love that.
Right? It's all metric driven. It's the same as we look at it exactly like we do marketing for a new customer. Once I understood that and I started understanding all the pieces to it, and we're always, you always see people always be marketing, right? You should always be recruiting too.
Right.
We have ads up 12 months a year, whether we need people or not. We're collecting leads and talking to people. So it's really just mindset. If that's your biggest, if you look at how much an installer, I don't care what industry you're in, how much one installer out in the field that's working 40 hours a week brings into your company in revenue and gross profit. Like in our industry, it equates out to about $140,000, $150,000 a year per painter. And if your backlog, and a lot of people are really having huge backlogs right now, and they just can't keep up with it. Yeah. They can't produce all the work they're selling. So you need to hire people. And if one person equals 140 grand, why the hell wouldn't you invest $50,000 into getting that person? Right? The ROI is huge on that. Right? Yeah. But most people just don't spend it.
And 50 grand is probably a huge overstatement, right? Like it probably won't even take that much.
I know, spend $5,000.
Right. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Spend $1,000.
Yeah. Yeah. You could spend 50 and still have a huge ROI, but it probably won't even take that much if you're proactive about it, right? And that's what I love about the mindset you have. It's a proactive mindset rather than a reactive. Most guys sit back and say, I can't find guys because the guys coming to me aren't good enough. But you're out there finding the guys that are good enough and only attracting those before you even let the guy come in the door.
Yeah, we were really successful this year with offering $1,000 signing bonus and also $1,000 referral bonus. So if you referred a painter to us and we hired them, and they were with us for 3 months, you get the $1,000. We get per month. We pay out the bonus.
Right.
So you refer a painter to us, you get $1,000 if they stay with us for 3 months. If we hire them and they're with us for 3 months, they get $1,000. And that was really successful for us this year. You got to figure it costs you $2,000 on top of whatever you spend in your recruiting outside of that. $2,000
the training and whatnot,
you're getting $140,000, right?
Yeah.
pretty good ROI if you ask me.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, that's just the business mentality, though, right? I mean, it's so many contractors are previous contractors or grew up in in that business from a family aspect and just have seen it done the way that it's done in the past and don't really question anything differently. But I love that you're taking that business aspect to a new level on so many different aspects of the business and finding a way to be proactive about it. I love the mentality. It's definitely fun to watch.
It's like I said, it's just a process.
Yeah.
You know, we tend to make things more difficult than they need to be. There's in our industry, there's so much self-limiting beliefs, mind trash, head trash, whatever you want to call it. People just they're not open-minded to new stuff. They think they know everything. They think they got it all figured out. They think their business is unique and that their problems are unique. And it's just all bullshit, right? Your business is not unique. Your problems are not unique. Service businesses are almost all the same, right? We all have to get customers. We got to market, get customers. We have to sell prospects. We got to produce the work, and we got to build it out. Everyone does the same stuff. What you do, the service is different. Is the only thing that's different, right? That's the technical side of it. And if you're running a business, the technical side of it, while it's important, it's not the main thing anymore, right?
Well, and it's learnable, right? Like that piece is.
It's already been solved.
Trained.
All of this stuff has already been figured out, man. You don't have to figure anything out. You just got to go find out. You got to know that you need to learn stuff. Find out what do I need to learn the most. And I'd argue it starts with finance. You have to know your financials. You got to know your numbers. You got to find out where you're at. Find out what's broken, and then go learn that. Whether it's marketing, sales, project management, recruiting, whatever it is,
Right.
And rinse and repeat. And make yourself smarter, make yourself better, become a businessman, right? Go from technician to operator to business owner to entrepreneur, right? A business owner is someone that the business doesn't need anymore, right? That's my goal in my companies. I want a company that can run without me. I could leave for 3 months, be gone, never hear from me. I come back, not only is the company producing and selling, but it's actually improved without me.
Right. Yeah, they've made
some
changes.
That's my goal. That's what I play the game for, right?
So, kind of on that, what's the future look like for you? How far out does that picture look for you, and what's the next few years look like for you guys?
Barring any economic event that's gonna send us into a deep recession, that's always the biggest threat, I think, when it comes to what we do. That's why diversifying is super important. But we're going to grow, like I said, we're 4.5 this year, 5.7 the year after that. Probably push to, if we had a fourth service offering, that's kind of the goal. We've got a short list of things that we're going to add next. We can scale pretty quickly as long as I can develop my leaders. So right now I'm looking for a sales manager to run my sales team, because it takes a lot of time to hire a sales rep. Onboard them, train them, get them up to speed, and then continuously training, tracking their metrics, making sure that they're being coached and developed. I spend quite a bit of my time doing that, so I want to hire a sales manager that does that also understands marketing metrics and all that. I need to hire either a general manager or a senior project manager. So anyone out there that's looking to join a team and learn and figure this stuff out, we're just outside of Sacramento. We've got a really good company, a great team of people. We're looking for great, honest individuals that love to serve people, love to serve the company. We can teach you everything else.
Yeah. Any aspirations to grow geographically at all?
Adding a second location it's on the list. I think our market, there's a lot of potential, especially if we continue to add service. So we focus on about 15 different zip codes. And until we've kind of pushed the limit on what we can get out of those zip codes, expansions are on the list, but it's nothing we're going to do in the short term.
Yeah, I mean, those are the two different routes, right? I mean, you can continue to stay in your one region, but grow your services, right, and the offering. Or, I mean, like you said, at some point you saturate that and have to grow geographically. So I think yeah, I think it's kind of one or the other at some point, right? Until you get oversaturated.
It's a process, you know, it's a marathon, not a sprint. A lot of people
Right.
think that stuff it can be solved and fixed overnight, man. And it's just, you know, what you think you know now is not necessarily what you think, what you end up needing to know. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Might be irrelevant in about 6 months or a year.
Yeah. I mean, as you learn to progress, you find out that that wasn't really that important. I wasn't even
Right.
paying attention to this, and this thing's really important, you know? So, you know, it's just continuously learning and developing. You know, you have to be
Yeah.
motivated by that stuff. If you're not motivated by learning and growing and developing, then you're never going to get there. Just quit. Go work for somebody else. Come work for me. You know, a lot
There you
easier.
go. Yep.
A lot
Yep.
easier, man, than trying to build a company.
A lot less
Like,
stressful, right?
man, anyone that's been in business for more than a couple of years, even 1 year, the pain of the unhappy customer, the stuff that keeps you up at night, not being able to pay the
Yep.
bills, the stress of keeping your guys working and feeding their families. You know, it's a lot of
Yeah.
sacrifice.
Heavy burdens.
You
Heavy
know,
burdens.
it's a lot of sacrifice. So if you're not interested in fixing that, you know, and plus you're not making any money, so just come
Yeah.
work for somebody else. My job leaders, you know, make 70 grand a year, the good ones,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and all they got to do is just go work on one job at a time. It's pretty simple. You know?
A lot less stress, right? A lot less stress. Very cool, Tim. Well, this has been awesome, man. I appreciate it. I feel like if nothing else, I've learned a lot. The thoughtfulness and the the intention behind what you guys do, I think is awesome. Or how you guys do things with intent, I think is helpful and should bode well for you guys in the future. And I appreciate it and look forward to follow you guys. Before we wrap this up, I want to give you an opportunity to let everybody know where to find you guys, whether that's social media or how to get a hold of you or websites or whatever it is. Plug it all so that when somebody can get a hold of you and whether that's learning business or looking for a painter or remodeling.
Yeah. So the company's Perryman Painting and Remodeling. PerrymanPainting.com is our website. Email service at PerrymanPainting.com. You know, so if you want to reach out to me, either, you know, obviously if you want us to do some work for you, that's great. You know, but any other, you know, business owners, entrepreneurs, people that just feel like they need some help, you know, feel free to reach out to me. You know, I'm 53, and I've learned. My daughter's 25. As I'm getting older, I've come to realize that there's really only one thing I can leave behind, and that's, you know, knowledge. So
Right.
I try to be an open book to anyone that's really not a direct competitor to me. And if I can help a young contractor that's just starting out figure this stuff out in less than 30 years, shrink that down to 3 or 4 or 5 or 10, right? All the pain that I went through. If I can help somebody do
Yeah.
that, I mean, that's,
Yeah.
you know, my next calling is probably going to be, you know, helping people do that. I think
Yeah.
there's a super big need for that, you know, and that'd be
For
very
sure.
rewarding, you know.
Yeah. I need to hook you up with Sonny Pinero. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he runs a trade contractor kind of network, and he's always looking for people to kind of step in and how it's the same kind of thing, right? It's a group of younger and uh maybe not as established contractors that are looking for resources, and he brings people in to speak and do some other things and kind of help that group out. But I think you might be able to help him out and help that group out quite a bit. So I will make sure to get you guys in touch for sure with each other.
Good deal.
Awesome, Tim. Well, it's been great. I appreciate the time. Stay healthy out there. Have a great holiday weekend. This is a couple days before Thanksgiving, although it's going to air well after. But you'll have a good holiday, and we'll keep in touch and look forward to following you, man. Appreciate it.
Right, man. All right, man. The great chatting with you.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you had a good time, be sure to hit that subscribe button to get all the latest episodes. And if you had a really good time, leave a review to let us know what you thought. Until then, go gather some crazy stories on your job sites, and we'll see you next time on So, You Want to Be a Contractor.